we have today an important guest with us on this show. I, Harwinder Khetal, and my colleague Sanjeev Bariana are in conversation with Dr. Pritam Singh. He's a professor emeritus of economics at Oxford Brookes University in England, and he's a long-time reader of the Tribune and a regular contributor to the op-ed and edit pages. He has spent decades studying Punjab's political economy, its developmental choices, and the questions of language and identity that continue to shape this. He has also authored several books and takes a keen interest in global politico-economic affairs, especially from the environment perspective. So, welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
My first question to you is going to be on the trade deals which are in the trend these days. India has also recently signed one with the EU, the FTA. So, what do you think we should really make of this deal? Who stands to gain? Who might lose? And what does it signal about India's place in the global political economy? From your perspective, what do you think?
Well, there are several questions within your question. It's certainly true that when different countries are started doing trade deals, they are of mutual benefit to each other. Otherwise, the deal will not be reached. They have to see some interest in that. But it's also the case that these trade deals are being reached because of the pressure Trump's policies are exerting on people. And otherwise, this India-Europe trade has been negotiation for decades. And it's fructified and finally finalized because they know that, they have to increase their bargaining power. Right. And India, because India had 50% tariff, especially because when it was buying the crude from Russia, and Europe was totally, sort of aghast at the possibility of Greenland being captured. So they wanted to have some bargaining power. It gives them a little space. But in terms of the global economy, despite all the celebrations in Europe and India and Europe are small players compared with the big players.
Right.
The big players are truly US and China. And between them, it's the China. China is making such strides in technology, in energy, even in military, it was in research and artificial intelligence, and it is so confident, it doesn't even make noise, because it knows it is winning the battle. And recently, Xi has come out with a policy that renminbi should also be made a reserve currency, as dollar is a reserve currency. So China is extremely self-confident. But having said that, I want to say something else on these trade issues, because there is a kind of celebration that a trade deal has been reached and trade will increase our GDP and GDP will increase our economic growth and so on and so forth. There is an element of truth in that trade does lead to economic growth. But big question is whether the increased international trade is good for our planet or not. This is an issue which is not discussed in the media either because of ignorance or because they don't want to highlight anything which is negative, and which doesn't apply only to India and EU. EU has Mercosur deal, and similarly other countries have deals between themselves. And the greater the international trade, greater is the transportation. And transportation takes place either through sea transport or air transport. And greater the transportation, greater is the use of fossil fuels, oil and gas. And greater is the contribution to carbon dioxide emission. And greater is the contribution to global warming. And that threat is real threat, and which is often missed, that when 2015 Paris Agreement was reached, it was agreed that the global temperature, average global temperature, by 2030 should be below 2 degrees centigrade compared with the pre-industrial age.
Right.
Pre-industrial age is roughly before 1850.
Yeah.
Because, all these things started taking place with industrialization. And preferably 1.5 degree.
Yeah.
The critical condition is that 1.5 degree increase has already taken place. Yeah. But it hasn't taken place over a decade. It has taken place only for the last 1 or 2 years. And when the calculation is done, whether the global temperature has increased, it is done over a decade. Okay? But if for the next decade, We need a temperature goes beyond 1.5, and there are fears that actually by 2040 it might go over 2 degrees centigrade compared with we will reach almost a tipping point. Tipping point is a point which one can understand from the word that you will fall back, you are not going to come back. That there will be such environmental consequences, that we will not be able to handle them, we will not be able to reverse them. So one has to be conscious about this, that increasing international trade is not a beneficial necessity. It benefits obviously those who trade. It benefits also the government image that they are using trade deals, and it benefits certain vested interests who are involved in this, and car manufacturing industry in UK is very happy over that India will import more cars from that, and there will be people who are car merchants here. They will be also happy that we'll have foreign imported cars, And of course, there will be some people like the small farmers are a bit worried that what will have these consequences if European products are better. So there are gains and losers. But if we take collectively, one has to be very critical of this. And if one is critical, then what is the alternative one is suggesting? One is saying that there should be greater emphasis on self-reliance. That countries should aim at local production, local consumption, and local production, local consumption also means going back to states and municipalities and the villages, and because it's not only international trade, even the national trade, also contributes to that. The simple thing is that trade leads transportation, and transportation leads to use of fossil fuels. Fossil fuels contribute to global warming. So we have to move to an economy which is based on more oriented towards local consumption, which also means changing our tastes.
So if you don't mind, how practically is this possible? So principally speaking, whatever you're saying makes sense.
Yes.
That is definitely the way forward in case we want to save Earth.
Yeah.
But under the current geopolitics, under the current situations, you see any ray of hope?
Well, I think local communities in some places are taking this step. That they for example, greater emphasis on public transport, because if there is a greater public transport and there is a less private transport, obviously there will be less use of cars and which are contributed. Instead of having 100 cars, there's only one train or one bus is going, which will consume less, And similarly trying to emphasize that people should buy from I'm taking the example of UK,
Correct.
Because that's where I live and I know there are farmers markets developing, that you should buy from the local farmers market who bring their produce from the surrounding villages, to buy your fruits from there, and not kiwis which are going to come from New Zealand, or strawberries which are going to come from Spain, unnecessary. And so people are talking about this. And similarly, honey, for example. I'm a regular consumer of honey, so I always tell them that give me the honey which is produced in Oxford, and this is giving encouragement to honey producers locally. So local production, local consumption has to be used, which refers to all things. It refers to clothes also. It refers to shoes also. It refers to whole lots of things. That this obsession with internationally branded goods, is actually damaging to the environment, and increasing international trade encourages that, And one example which I'm very fond of giving is UK and France. Every day there are hundreds of trucks which go from UK to France carrying English food, English milk, English yogurt, curd, and cheese, English cheese. At the same time, hundreds of trucks are coming from France, which are bringing French cheese, French yogurt, and French. What is the point? It's just because people's tastes have been, so, messed up. They want to have French cheese, and there's very little difference. Health-wise, it's not going to make any difference. But so much of fuel is used in both ways that can be reduced. So growing awareness can lead to, now there are some places where people are actually converting their houses into growing vegetables and fruits. Even if you have a little garden, or even if you have a pot at home, you grow, fruits and, which are actually organic and which are healthy. So these are small steps, but once the people's consciousness increases, it will put pressure on the governments, because they will put political parties into power which will favor this. At the moment it's not there, but it's growing. For example, in UK, Green Party is growing in strength every day, and they had only one MP many years back. Now they have 4, and next time I think they probably have 16 or 17. And their bargaining power will increase, and they will redesign transport, they'll redesign nature of industry, they'll emphasize more on, solar energy and renewable energy, not based on fossil fuels. So to give a long-winded answer to your very good question, that practical steps have to be small, and to begin with it have to be small, but eventually it has to be carried forward. And we have to change the narrative on international trade, not to keep on celebrating it, and to look at critically on this, which is not the case. There is an uncritical celebration of, we have reached a trade deal, and it's a great thing.
Yeah, that's a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
I think that should.
We have to look for a way forward.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, there is no end to the rat race.
Yes.
I mean, the merchants can keep hoping for bigger deals and better things, but then one has to look inwards at the grassroots level.
Yeah, and also there is a case for small producers, because when these big deals takes place, it's the big players who benefit, and many of the small players, small artisans who produce very good quality of food, they get damaged, they got destroyed out, and the local talent get destroyed out, and so that all leads towards localization. Localization doesn't mean that you close your doors to the outside world, but you trade where it's necessary, because internationally, if you look at it, there will be some regions where food cannot be produced, and as a collective we'll have to make some arrangement, maybe some mountainous region, some desert region, but that is not to make profits. Correct. That is out of solidarity with human beings, that we need to send wheat or rice or something else, but not to actually make profits. So
sir, that brings me to Punjab.
Hanji.
In the context of Punjab, where it was earlier and now, since you've seen through the decades, through your stay here and your studies, what do you think how Punjab can now go back to its old glory and attain some economic development?
That's right. Yes, million tons question, and we are all grappling with this. One thing is that we have to now stop love with the Green Revolution.
Yeah.
We have been in with love with Green Revolution for too long, and it's been damaging. And the essence of Green Revolution was nothing else, that India was dependent on food aid from America. And America was using that food aid to weaponize aid, So Indian government at that time was absolutely desperate. My book, Federalism, Nationalism and Development, discusses this in great detail. And actually I have quoted statements of Indira Gandhi and some of the policymakers. They said it was a question of national survival at that time.
Food security.
Food security, because we thought that if we gained independence, colonialism has ended. But what kind of independent nation we are if we can't produce food for our own people? And there was also fear of food riots. Because in 1964-64, there was a drought in some parts. In Calcutta, there were riots. People, invaded shops, because when people are hungry, they don't care about police or army, and they're willing to do anything. So there were both the fears of that, and so they thought of Green Revolution strategy. And that time, the Green Revolution strategy was, of course, adopted all over India, but with a difference, that in other states it was adopted on 1 or 2 districts. For example, Bardwan district in Bengal, Palghar district in Kerala, East and West Godavari districts in Andhra Pradesh, Western UP, North Haryana, Karnal, but whole of Punjab was converted into Green Revolution. So Punjab was really the battleground, and the reasons were this: that one, the Punjab peasantry was familiar with irrigation, because during the colonial period, the colonialists had built canal colonies in what is left in Pakistan. And large number of the peasants had migrated from them. So they knew that these peasants are used to irrigation techniques. And irrigation was central to Green Revolution technology. That irrigation, along with fertilizers, insecticides and pesticides and high yielding seeds, that is the package of the Green Revolution. A key to Green Revolution. So of course in the beginning there were economic gains. The peasantry gained income. Their children were able to go to engineering colleges, law in colleges, universities, and I meet many people who are lawyers, even judges, many professors who were the first generation educated, and they come from rural background, the previous generation. So but over a period of time, Green Revolution has brought huge environmental costs to Punjab.
Has come at a cost.
It's water is polluted, its air is polluted, and soil is polluted, and especially rice. The rice is not the crop of this region. Rice is the crop of the region where there is sufficient rainfall which takes place, which is northern India, western India, eastern India. But in order to meet the food need, they started introducing rice. So rice is grown, therefore water table is going down. So now Punjab is a massively environmentally damaged place. What it was, a beautiful place. I mean, I remember from my childhood that people were able to drink water from the rivers also.
Yeah. It was so clean.
It was so clean. And now, of course, even the tube wells and other things, hand pumps, they don't give you clean water. People in the villages also have to buy or do the auto cleaning process for the. So there is a great crisis. And the interesting thing is that the peasantry is also aware of this, that what we are producing is poisonous.
Yeah.
And the affluent among them are allocating small piece of land to grow organic wheat for them, organic vegetables, organic fodder for them, and bulk of that is being sold, and this is being extended to vegetables and fruits also. That you look at a papaya, looks very nice, but you don't know what kind of pesticides have been used to make it look attractive and so on and so forth. So we have to totally reverse that. We need a new paradigm. And one of the paradigms, I think, is that we need to defend small and marginal farmers, which is a very big thing. The reason is that large-scale farming is environmentally much more destructive.
Yeah.
Because when large farming takes place, they use large tractors and large harvester combines. They are not bothered about the diversity of the land, diversity of the biodiversity. They just steamroll everything. A small farmer takes every little care of the land. What animals there are, what are birds there, what plants are there. It's a kind of and it's a way of life. It's a culture of life. Now that needs to be preserved, and that needs to be supported, and the government policy has to be adopted that. Unfortunately, this consciousness has not grown even in the farmers' movement, which is supposed to protect them. They know that. I mean, I have had conversation with them. ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਗੱਲ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਛੋਟੇ ਕਿਸਾਨ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਚਾਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਪਰ they still keep on fighting on MSP and so on and so forth, and which is not typically only for the marginal farmers, it is for all the farmers. So, but from a long-term perspective, if we are policy planners, because sometimes what you propose may not be easily implementable, because you need to have a consensus policy.
Yeah.
And for consensus, you need to develop a narrative, And you or me are talking, maybe some other people will start talking, some political leaders might start talking. Eventually, a kind of consensus develops that what we are doing is not the right thing, And we need to stop this madness, and we should protect small farmers. We should protect local markets. We should encourage small farmers to set up markets, even for fruit and vegetable for local areas. And some of the experiments are being done are very interesting. I came to know about a market in Bathinda. It's the 5th largest town in Punjab.
Right.
That there is a small area where a organic farmer brings his produce, and there's a long queue to buy his produce. People are conscious of this, and he's able to sell onions, garlic, all the products which he can produce within hours, and so that tells you there is a demand for that, and the government should support such measures, and so there has to be realization that government's active role has to be there, that whether it's through providing finance to them or to training to them, PAU can play a very important role, because PAU first played a very important role in launching the Green Revolution. But I think in defense of PAU, one can also say that many of their scientists are now aware of this.
Right.
They do want that, they want to support organic farming, they want to support natural farming, they want to support regenerative agriculture. So That's kind of key towards, I would say green retrofit of Punjab economy. Even its industrial policy need to be reviewed. Its transportation policy need to be reviewed. For example, public transport must be increased, and the roads can be redesigned. Cycling can be encouraged. I mean, cycle industry has a huge potentiality in Punjab. I believe that if the government is really serious, they should so much emphasize on cycling that all the roads in Punjab should have cycle paths, separate cycle paths. And after every 10-15 miles, there should be cycle repair shop and cycle spare parts shop. So people can go, and if they get punctured, there is a place where they can repair, and they have it'll have hundreds or maybe thousands of such shops which will give employment to people, and cycle industry will get a big boost. And in economics we call a leading sector which then leads to other development. Traditionally, railway has been considered as a railway sector. That wherever railway develops, railway has forward and backward linkages, and it leads to development of other industries. But I am saying that in Punjab, cycle industry could play that role, so that's kind of again long-winded answer.
Yeah, but basically the farmers' main concern is about returns.
Yes.
So small land holdings, do you think they would be that attractive for them?
Well, I mean, some of the small farmers in Ludhiana, for example, they say that even from 1 acre they're able to make 1 lakh.
So this kind of thing can be replicated.
I think, sir, it's a pretty complex issue.
Yeah.
Particularly, the MSP is a very big thing for farmers.
It is.
Because
the points you're making is very valid.
Yeah.
But there are many threads to the issue.
Yeah.
But definitely, it is a question that needs to be addressed.
Yes,
it needs to be talked about.
Yeah. MSP certainly provides security.
Yes.
Yeah.
But MSP also reinforces the traditional cropping pattern.
Absolutely.
So there is that contradiction in MSP.
It's a contradiction. Yes, you're right.
Right now, MSP is not available to all other
other crops.
Exactly.
Yeah. If there is, even the state government might have to do something. If the central government is not if the state government is serious about this, that they should. So any political party which wants to come into power should have this in its program. If they are intelligent enough, if they can visionary enough, that we want to change this, which unfortunately there is nothing.
Because talk of diversification of crops is always there.
Yes.
But why aren't the farmers diversifying, though they know that it's their land which is being degraded?
Yeah. It's MSP is
MSP is the biggest catch to the entire issue.
It is.
So in your books, Economic Culture, Human Rights, Turbulence in Punjab, India and Beyond, and Federalism, Nationalism and Development, India and Punjab Economy. Talking about the remaining, Punjab still remains core, remains central to your... How do you see the subject? I haven't read the book, but how is Punjab central, or is it a part of the entire thing?
Well,
what's Punjab?
I would put it in one line and then kind of elaborate. My perspective is global.
All right.
But I put Punjab in that global perspective. And I will also give you an example that the dean of my faculty, one told me that Dr. Gill or Dr. Singh, they don't know my Gill part, Dr. Singh, why do you bother about Punjab? You are a global scholar, you should only write about the global issues. I told him I will write on global issues, I will publish on global issues, I will go to global conference, but I will not leave Punjab because I am emotionally attached to that land. And they have given me the resources to make me come here. And there are not many people like me. If I don't do it, who else will do it? And there are so few of us. And I don't know he was satisfied or not. But after a few years when India rose in economic power, he said, oh, you are very wise. Actually, we need to develop more relations with India. It's a country we need to take interest in, So I take interest because I feel about it, And my nephews and nieces still live in the villages. They're all well off, but also suffer all the consequences of this. And I can't forget them, and I'm there, but my roots are here, and my friends are there, so many people, so, and also there is a demand on me, Farmers union leaders ask me about this, activists ask me about this. And I also help students to do PhD. I sort of arranged scholarship to two bright students They both worked on the Punjab and they become lecturers there, and so I feel that it's a return to a society which has given me so much. I don't want to divorce from it.
Right.
So, but you're saying that very few people in your position, but now of late, due to the Punjab's decline, a lot of youth are migrating.
Yes.
Even if there isn't anything there,
Yeah.
they feel that it's still better option.
Yeah.
So, what's your take on that?
Well, people migration is why people migrate. There are complex reasons. One reason is that families have seen that those families where a member has migrated, their economic situation has improved.
Right.
And this is not true only of Punjab. One of my students did a study of Ecuador and Bangladesh. She is American and her father is American white and mother is from Ecuador. So she's mixed. And she's married to a Bangladeshi. So she wanted to compare this. And we found that it was very interesting that the families who had the migrants, they certainly had improved their income. They were able to provide for medical care of relatives. They were able to provide for the education. They were able to build the houses. So that's a positive aspect. But the negative aspect is, I'm not talking about the cause of the migration, that it has increased inequalities within those areas from where people have migrated, between families who have migrated and members have migrated and those who have not migrated. Because with their migration, land prices have gone up, house prices have gone up. Those who don't have, they feel disadvantaged. And so one is simply this, that the economic situation. Secondly, even if the first generation has to struggle a lot, the second generation certainly makes a big leap. There is a house near my house, and both husband and wife are very hardworking people. They worked very hard. Their children, 3 children, they've all gone to top universities.
They're Indians?
They're Indians, Punjab they.
In UK, you're talking of UK.
Yeah, UK. And they tell me that if we hadn't come, our children would not be able to go to university. They said that if you had stayed in India, your daughter might still have been able to come to Oxford because you people are academic and, she might be still get a scholarship. My daughter studied in Oxford, so that's why they were mentioning that but our children wouldn't have been. So they are able to see that, okay, we made sacrifices, but our children have progressed. Now, among those children, some of them are going into academic field. So there is that generation, because they also feel this. They haven't forgotten their grandparents. They also know their parents have worked hard. Some of them are becoming anthropologists, historians, economists. So people from here are not many people are able to make to those great universities, but people educated there, and they are, and we are also trying to help to start new fellowships for students to do postdoc, PhD and postdoc research fellowships. So that is happening.
There's one other subject which again repeatedly features in your talks and shows that I have some of them seen, which is the dark future. You are referring to people buying land in New Zealand for future. You are talking about people making houses in trenches.
Yeah.
You think this is the way forward? You think some people could really segregate themselves from the rest of the world? You think that could be the way ahead?
Yes, I think your question itself has an answer within that. And it is true that the truly super rich in this world know about this, that the way the world is going and the way they are living, they know that we are leading the world to a disaster. That therefore there is one island in New Zealand which is considered to be the last one which will be damaged if there is a crisis on the planet. So they are buying houses, prices have shot up, and this is really super rich, and from all over the world. Which includes billionaires from Saudi Arabia, America, Russia, China, I don't know about India, but also the bunkers thing. There is a demand for bunkers going up, deep bunkers, where people think that, okay, the earth might be strong, we will go down in the bunkers, and there is a market for bunkers. Guardian produced a huge article on that, how the demand for bunkers has gone up. This is totally illusion. That is, this planet to planet goes, they think that they can buy peace, This idea also of going to another planet is partly because of that. We will leave this planet altogether, as if, the whole humanity can migrate to another planet.
Very well. That's
Chalo. So on that interesting note, I think Professor Singh, we'll close our conversation. It's been a pleasure having you here. From Punjab's politics and developmental challenges to the migration of youth and the environment, especially the environment issues in the broader global economic scenario today. We got to know a lot of new things, and we hope that a lot of people will read your books and get further insight into your take. And thanks for sharing your views with us.
Thank you. Pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
We hope our viewers take away not just an understanding of the challenges, but also some ideas about the opportunities ahead for Punjab and India in this rapidly changing world. Thank you once again, Professor,
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.